So good afternoon or good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining our webinar today. This is Eva Weber speaking from ABBYY. I will be conducting the webinar today together with my colleagues, colleague Mrs. Vigilia Kunt, and we are both very happy that during this busy season you might have found the time for our webinar to learn about the possibilities to integrate the ABBYY cloud-based OCR technologies into your applications. I'm working as a product marketing manager here at ABBYY, and I'm responsible for the Cloud OCR SDK. This is one product of many of ABBYY offerings. Some of you are our long-term customers, and you know us for many, many years. This past summer, we actually celebrated 30 years of our existence. We are today perceived as the premium provider of OCR technologies and data extraction technologies. And we can as well present an impressive number of products, technologies, which we offer to customers worldwide. But today we will concentrate on the product Cloud OCR SDK. And we will show you how to use this toolkit to add new functionalities to your own application with a very low programming effort. This will be quite a technical presentation. You're right with us if you are developer or product manager or project manager and look for OCR technologies that you can implement to improve or enhance your own applications. Before we start, I would like to remind you that your lines are muted. This is always the case. We would like to avoid too much noise during the presentation. But I would like to encourage you to ask questions using the chat function in your application. You will write us. We are, as I already mentioned, two persons, me and Mrs. Vigilia Kunt. One of us will be presenting, the other one will be replying to your questions. If we get very busy here and we do not respond immediately, please be assured that we will come back to you later on. We will use the email address you used for the registration for this webinar. So definitely we will attend to your question. Our last technical or kind of organizational note is that this presentation is being recorded. After this webinar, you will as well receive the recording. So you do not need to take notes. You can listen to it again. So we can start now, and we will start with the ABBYY Cloud OCR SDK, the software development toolkit that you can use to enhance your applications. Why would you use this software development kit? This is basically a very convenient and fast alternative to developing OCR and text recognition capabilities for your application yourself. You can, of course, do it. You can develop or methods or algorithms yourself. This is for sure possible. But if you really need to use a functionality, text extraction functionality or document conversion functionality in your applications and do it yourself, you probably would need a lot of time. By implementing our technologies, which we offer for integration, you can significantly save time and put your product on the market in a shorter time. So you would save time, you would save resources. That would be exactly the situation when you might consider deploying a software development toolkit as an alternative to own development. And ABBYY has several toolkits, several technologies for integration, but today we will talk about the SDK, which is cloud-based. And this toolkit can be quickly integrated into our software as you will see it later. And it will work as a cloud-based service in the background, basically, for your application. So, with this toolkit implemented, basically, your application can then extract text from documents or convert complete document or document archives into other formats, or, for example, extract only individual fields on some documents. And the extraction is not limited only to documents. This is typical scenario, I would say, but obviously the text can be as well on some other surfaces or on screens, computer screens or industrial screens. This is as well possible. So the question actually you might ask is how these two topics like cloud computing, cloud infrastructure, and the OCR fit together. And we at ABBYY believe that they fit together very well. Because if you want to have a high quality OCR technology, you will, or your technology will need to perform actually very many steps. And this is very important for really good recognition results. And all the steps will basically use computing resources. The process, the OCR process, if you are aware or familiar with it, start actually with image pre-processing, cleaning the images, putting the images into the right shape, removing dust, correcting shapes, lines, splitting double pages, things like this. Then the images are getting analyzed. It will be decided where is text, what will we actually need to analyze and recognize, and what is only another picture, for example. Then it goes to binarization up to the actual recognition hypothesis, which later will be evaluated and again verified. So in the proper and high quality OCR technology, there are very many steps running in parallel. Everything should happen very quickly. And this is actually the reason why we believe and why we actually created this cloud-based toolkit, because the processing on the or in the cloud perfectly matches to the situation when suddenly there is a high demand for computing power, and depends what quality of your documents you have, or how many documents you have, or what devices you are using. The demand for computing power might be quite high, depending what you are doing or what you are planning to do. So in this situation, the flexible and scalable cloud computing infrastructure comes as a perfect match to the OCR processes. It provides exactly computing power for your OCR process, and you or your customers do not need to worry about the appropriate hardware capabilities. So we, over time, actually see several kind of typical scenarios where the cloud or cloud-based OCR comes perfectly handy, and one of them are time-limited or one-time projects. This would be a scenario or situation when you, for example, your customer discovers in the basement a large archive of documents, and this archive should be digitized and turned into searchable PDFs, for example. It usually needs to happen quickly. The documents might be already a little bit distorted or yellow, difficult to read even for people. This would again bind a lot of computing resources. This is a perfect scenario for a cloud-based OCR. Because once an enterprise decides to get rid of the paper in the basement, it usually should happen rather quickly. And then the IT managers in these companies would probably ask how to conduct this process quickly, while not to invest in expensive hardware, which later on nobody would use, because the project would be all over, the hardware would be staying around. So the cloud infrastructure, of course, can quickly scale up here, provide the necessary CPU power, and process the large amount of documents relatively quickly. And in this perspective, it is basically the ideal answer to that question, how to process document quickly without leaving behind a set of unused servers later on. So the cloud-based OCR service will take up this task very quickly. and your IT personnel or the IT personnel of your customer does not need to worry about the hardware side at all. And very similar situation is when this is not a one-time project, but kind of there is a continuous use for OCR processing, but the page volumes might vary a lot. This could be a scenario or situation with enterprise companies. They suddenly have a high demand for processing, and later in the month or in the week, they do not process so many pages. Typical example would be tax advisors, for example, when they have their clients arriving on the beginning of the month with a shoebox of documents collected through the last period of time, last month, for example, and those documents need to be processed quickly. And then after half a week, when all the processing happened, there are not so many documents arriving for OCR processing anymore. And this is a very similar situation because there is a sudden need, and again, the cloud computing infrastructure would scale up the processing and then scale down. So this flexibility of cloud again fits a very well to this scenario when you cannot judge in advance how many pages will arrive for processing at which time, for example. And then there is a situation when maybe you do not need so much text or so many documents, but the processing device you are using is very small in its capabilities, and this is the case of smartphones. Smartphones today are not phones anymore, or phoning is only kind of extended capability. Those are really tiny, very powerful computers. But for a complex OCR process, this computing power might be a little bit weak. And you might know that we as well offer mobile apps which process text on device. But in situation where you have maybe a mobile client to your computing system, when, for example, insurance agents who travel through the country photograph documents all on the go the whole day, processing on the device might be overwhelming the device, I would say. In this case, kind of client-server scenario, when the mobile computer or the mobile device is a client for document capture, but the processing is happening on the back-end device, on the back-end server in the cloud, is the ideal scenario to keep the resources of the smartphone free, but still get a very good and very fast result for the OCR processing. And last but not least, and this is a very obvious situation for leveraging OCR in the cloud, is if you are yourself a cloud-based company, if you offer your services and your software in the cloud, then obviously the cloud-based OCR processing would make 100% sense that you integrate it instead of an on-premise system. So I would like to summarize, and I will give my word to my colleague very quickly. The ABBYY Cloud OCR service can be integrated into your application very quickly, as you will see. And with this step, your application will be able to convert complete documents or document archives into PDFs, for example, or extract only text snippets. This is as well possible. And it will do it with the highest accuracy. As I already mentioned, we are quite acknowledged as a leader in the market. And with this service integrated, your application can then leverage the ABBYY OCR technologies. OCR, we offer more than 200 languages for the recognition of hand-printed text. So if you, for example, fill in an application yourself, that would be the recognition of hand-printed text, as well well called ICR. We offer more than 120 languages. We offer as well recognition technologies for barcodes and check marks, but this is not all. Basically, next to the standard recognition and document conversion technologies, we as well offer 3 predefined algorithms, predefined systems that let you detect and extract data from individual documents. And I listed here the three types of documents. Those are business cards, data from receipts, and as well the machine readable zone in ID documents. So in this situation, this is actually a kind of data capture scenario when the information is not only extracted, the whole text can be as well extracted, of course, but the beauty here, or the interesting part, is that the relevant information get detected on the document and extracted. So in a case of business card, for example, the information from the business card will be extracted, and the value for name will be added to the field name, company to the field company, etc. And my colleague will shortly show you how it works. So I will now give the word to my colleague Vigilia Kund, who I hope at least was so far busy answering questions. Again, I would like to encourage you asking questions right away. And she will demonstrate you the implementation of the service with the use of the new .NET Client library, which you can use to integrate the service even faster. So Vigilia, it's your turn now.
Thank you, Eva, for the nice introduction. Good afternoon or good morning for those in the US. My name is Vigilia Kund, and I'm really very excited today to demonstrate you how easy it is to integrate our Cloud OCR SDK client, the .NET client, and process different document types just really literally in a few minutes. In my demo, I will use today the new .NET Client library for the Cloud OCR SDK. So what is this .NET Client library? It is basically ready-to-use implementation of the client of our RESTful Cloud OCR SDK API. And why we provide this .NET Client library. As Eva already mentioned, so by integrating the Cloud OCR SDK, you can accelerate your go-to-market. But by using the .NET Client library or by integrating it, you can be even faster. So you don't need to start implementing the client from scratch. You can integrate this ready-made client into your application for document processing just in seconds and start processing documents immediately, as you will see just in a moment. Currently, we provide 2 API versions. This is important. So the API version 1 is XML-based, and the version 2 is JSON-based. And this, the .NET Client library, which I will use today, is based on version 2. So this is JSON-based, meaning that the body of the response contains JSON. This .NET Client library of the Cloud OCR SDK is available free of charge. The compiled package of the .NET Client library you can download from Nugget repository, and the source code is available through GitHub. So if you want to modify the library, you have the source code and can work with the source code as well. Before I switch to the demo, I would like really very quickly give you an overview of the available methods in the Cloud OCR SDK. So as you can see, it provides methods for processing different document types and suitable to implement different scenarios, as Eva already mentioned the scenarios, for example, to OCR a complete document and to convert an image document into a editable document or searchable PDF. We have two methods for this, process image or process document. When using the process image method, one document is processed per one task, and the process document method allows basically processing of several images in one task, and the processing parameters will be applied to all the documents in the same task, and the result will be basically then a multi-page document consisting of the separate documents we pass to the one task. Cloud OCR SDK provides as well methods which are already pre-configured to extract data from specific document types, like Eva already also mentioned, to extract data from ID documents, so to read the so-called machine readable zone, extract data from business card and receipts. Also, there are a few methods which can be used to extract data from the individually specified fields, or as well extract barcodes or check marks. So OMR, these are optical mark recognition, so check marks. There are also methods for task management, for example, to pull statistics on tasks, and they are different status, or as well you can delete tasks. If you won't delete, for example, a task through the API, through this delete task method, then there is an automated procedure which will remove the images, the processed images, within 24 hours, or unprocessed images will be then deleted within 48 hours. So in my demo today, I will use a few of these methods, and I'm going to demonstrate you the implementation of these two scenarios. So first one is the document archiving scenario. As also, if I mentioned, this is one of the most popular scenarios used in Cloud OCR SDK. It is suitable for creating searchable documents to be used in document management systems or other digital document archives. And I will show you the usage of both methods, process image and process document. As well, we'll demonstrate you how to set processing profiles, processing parameters, and we will export the documents to searchable PDFs. And the second use case is data extraction, which I'll demonstrate you, data extraction from ID document and business card, and will apply these specific methods. So let's move to the more exciting part to see the Cloud OCR SDK in action, I would say. So I will use today the sample project, which ABBYY provides as well through GitHub. So it's available for you if you will later want to try it. And the sample contains already basically the main resources and demonstrate the main steps required to process documents. So first of all, before I can process any of the documents or use any of the methods, I have to install the .NET Client library. Actually, I already pre-installed this because it's just to save a little bit time, but it's actually easy. You will, this is the wrapper or the package, the Nugget package, so to say, already pre-compiled library is stored on Nugget repository. So you will browse on Nugget repository and look for ABBYY Cloud SDK v2 client and just install it. And then it's ready to use. So it's ready to use as is. So now I'm moving to my sample project. In the first step as well, before I can start processing, I have to provide authentication parameters. So this is the authentication for our application on Cloud OCR SDK so that our documents can be processed. I created a demo application beforehand, and these are the credentials, the application ID and the password of my application. in the next step, I have to also check or specify the correct URL of the data center where the cloud or the documents will be processed. So at the moment, we have basically 2 data centers where Cloud OCR SDK is hosted, one in US and one in Europe. And my application, demo application, is connected to the data center in US, and this is the URL for the data center in Europe. One note regarding the data center. So basically the data center is defined during the creation of your application. When you will later need to change the data center, so you cannot change the data center for the existing application. You will need to create a new application for that. Okay, then I would say let's start with process image for our process image method for our document archiving scenario. This sample project provides already a few lines of code which demonstrate how to use this method. And I will basically use this code here. So you might ask yourself, or I can ask myself as well, which parameters I should or I can specify for this method. For example, I know I want to create a searchable PDF, and what parameters I can specify. Of course, you can have a look or check on the website of Cloud OCR SDK API reference, or as well you can check the available parameters for the different processing methods in the source code of the .NET client library. As I said, there is also a source code I already have here open. This is the client, the source code, which actually the compiled version I already pre-installed to my project. And here is basically the implementation of all the methods of Cloud OCR SDK. So when I will look, for example, for process image method. So I see here is the implementation of this process image method. And if I go to implementation of processing params, so here is basically the list of available processing parameters and their types available for this method. So I can specify a password if it would be an input document PDF, password protected PDF. I can specify export formats that by default is used RTF. Then I can specify profile, processing profile, text types, image source, and there are a few pre-processing parameters. So basically, this is a hint for you where you can look for implementation of the parameters, processing parameters. So I'm coming back to sample project, and I will specify now a few processing parameters. I said I want to create a searchable PDF for document archiving scenario. So I will use profile. And as you can see, we have 4 predefined processing profiles. This one, barcode recognition, would be used if you would like to recognize barcodes. This one, document archiving, I will use now for creating, basically it's optimized for creating searchable PDFs where all the text in the input document will be extracted, including the text embedded into pictures. And yeah, there is a processing profile document conversion, which is basically suitable for document conversion into editable formats like Word, RTF, and so on, and text extraction. Text extraction profile is basically used when you want to extract full text or have OCR on complete page, but where the layout, the structure of the document is not important. Basically, it's used for OCR of documents and creating XML, where you have to look or parse the XML to find the specific information. So basically for text extraction from specific text areas. In my case, I will use document archiving. Then as said, I want to export into searchable PDF. As you can see, I have a list here of export formats available for this method, process image method, and I will use the PDF searchable. Then in order to have or to achieve the best recognition quality, it's recommended to specify the recognition languages. By default, English is used, but if you know that your documents in your archive or the documents in your, you are dealing with can have different languages, so you would specify here a set of possible languages. I will specify here English and German. My document is basically an English document, but just to demonstrate you how to set this parameter, I will use these two languages. Then, there are also a possibility to specify pre-processing options. Automatically, Engine will, of course, try to apply some pre-processing methods or routines to enhance the image. For example, will automatically rotate the image if it's in wrong orientation, or it will, if it's necessary, apply desk queuing, for example, routine and so on. But for example, if you know that your documents have correct orientation and have quite good quality, you can disable these parameters. So what I will do now, I will basically disable the orientation because my document is has a correct orientation. Then I will say skew. I don't want the document to be desk queued. False. The same applies basically for image source. Image source, Engine detects automatically if it's a scanned document or it's a photo, and will apply automatically also some routines. For example, if it's a photo, then it will try to correct distorted lines, for example, text lines, or if the document has poor focus, to enhance this focus and lightening and so on. In my case, I'm dealing, for example, with a scan document. I forgot to show you. This is basically the document I want to process. As you can see, this is an image document. And it's a scanned document. It's has quite good quality. That's why I will set this parameter to scan image source. And as you see, automatically by default, it is used as auto, is set to auto, and I will set to scanner. Why I did this? So if Engine doesn't need to try to find out if orientation is necessary, or if some other enhancement routines are necessary, so I can help Engine to be faster. So it might help really to increase the processing speed if pre-processing is not necessary. So these are the processing parameters I specified for the process image method to convert the document into searchable PDF. Okay, and here is basically the main piece of code where we initialize our client with a specific processing method and the parameters. The result is written into console. This is just a sample project. So we are writing into console, and it also collects the list of tasks. So I will set here a breakpoint just to stop the program at this point so that I can get the result URL, and I will start processing. So what happens now? The document is basically uploaded to the data center in Europe. A processing task is created, and a processing task with the processing parameters I defined, and the document is processed. And as you can see, the processing took just a few seconds. The result URL is here, so I will copy this URL and put into the browser. And here we have our result document. So this is a searchable PDF with a text layer behind. Yeah, and it's basically ready to be stored in some document management system or some other document archiving system. Okay, this was the first method. Then I said I will show you also the process document method. Process document allows us to process several documents per one task. So I have here process document method and will process two documents. Let's have a look maybe first into documents. So these are also this is a brochure of ABBYY product. So this is a JPEG, an image document, and this is the second document. This is an image as well, have quite good quality, but anyway, we want to process and convert it to searchable PDF. So I will copy basically the processing parameters I used here, because these are valid for the process document as well, and put here to the document processing params. So the difference is here we have to use the submit image method to upload or to submit the images to the task. So here I'm uploading the first image to this task ID, and the second image is uploaded basically to the same task, and my defined parameters, processing parameters, will be applied to all the documents within this task. Okay, so I'm coming back here, and I will use now this process document method, and I start the application. So in the result, I should have a searchable PDF matched these two documents into one multi-page document, and let's have a look. So as you can see, this is the first page. This is a searchable document, the text layer behind, and this is the second page. So the document was, as I said, processed just in a few seconds, and we have searchable PDF which we can store in any DMS system. Okay, then I'm coming to the next use case. I said I will demonstrate you the data extraction. For the data extraction, I'm just hiding the code so that it's not too much code and you can follow me. So this is the process MZ method to extract data. So this is the document. This is a German travel document, Reisepass, and this process MZ method will automatically detect machine readable zone, this zone, 2 lines, and extract the data from these 2 lines. So it has basically no processing parameters, so it's really pre-configured to automatically find the data. I could specify here description or pass the password if it would be a password protected PDF, but there is no processing parameters. So and this is the document I showed you. I want to process now, and I'm passing here to my main program and starting the processing. Yeah, the use case basically for ID reading is used basically or important for automation of the verification of personal data during traveling or during customer onboarding processes or other KYC processes. So basically it accelerates the automated verification of personal data from ID documents. And so in the result, we have an XML, and basically the data from here, from these two lines, were extracted and is available in this structured way in this XML. So you have the line 1, line 2. There are a few fields where we have a checksum to verify if the data was correct, recognized correctly. For example, we have for document number the verification check, so in this case is true. For expiration date, for birth date, and for personal number, there are checksum verification. Yeah, and this data can be passed then to applications for, as I said, which are used in onboarding scenarios. This was quite fast, as you saw. And the last one I wanted to demonstrate is the business card processing. So I pasted here as well this small routine for business card processing. Per default, the data is exported into CSV file. I will export into XML. And as well, I will write field components. So field components, just a moment. Field components are basically the components of if we take a name as a field, so the component would be first name and last name. And so on. We will see in the result what are the field components. Okay, and I will process my my personal business card, still with the old function, but nevertheless the information is still correct. Okay, and yeah, I will initialize the client with this process business card method. Okay, I'm processing. Yeah, and the automated business card extraction is typically used to easy and quickly submit extracted business contact information from a business card into any lead management system or any CRM system automatically. And here's my result URL, and we will have a look into the XML. So we can compare the data. As you see, the data was extracted automatically and assigned with the values. So when we look into the field type address, so it has all the complete address, including all the components. And if you want to have a granular information, so write fields component option will have this or separate this field into the component street address, zip code, city, country, and so on. So this was basically the demo. I think I'm at the end of my demo. I'm just checking if I forgot something. Okay, so just to sum up, So ABBYY provides a ready-to-use .NET client library, which you can integrate into your application for document processing very fast, just as it is. So you saw it is a compiled package. You can just immediately download, integrate into your project, and start processing documents, as you saw in my demo. At this point, I would like to mention that as well, we provide a compiled demo tool for Cloud OCR SDK. Maybe I will show you as well quickly. So basically, this is with the GUI. If you, for example, wouldn't like to test the Cloud OCR SDK with coding, really have a project and start coding. So this is demo tool can be used to quickly process documents. I will show you, for example, let's process. Okay, just have to check that. Okay, this is general for document conversion. I will create a searchable PDF, and this is an English document, and just by drag and drop put into this tool, and it should be processed quite. Okay, by accident I put two output formats, searchable and txt, and I got, as you see, two export documents. So the PDF searchable is basically, here is my converted document with the text behind. So this is basically a very comfortable tool which we provide via GitHub as well. You can just download, install, and test your documents quite easy. So business card documents with MRZ, also field level. So if you put here a document, so you can extract fields. Yeah. But nevertheless, for this to test your documents, you will need to create your application and pass here or enter your credentials so that you can send the documents for processing. Okay, then I have one more slide where I want to just to show you the resources I used now for the demo. You don't need to write down, you will get this information just after the webinar. We have as well samples for other programming languages, not just only for .NET. So we have samples in Java, Python, and other. If you will look into GitHub and browse there, you will find there as well. So I'm done, Eva. So I'm passing the word back to you.
Okay, Vigilia, you have to. Okay, so everybody should see again my my screen, and this is actually the end of the presentation. Thank you for your questions. I was trying to answer while Vigilia was speaking, and now I have actually only a couple of last remarks, kind of summary. Thank you to Vigilia for the interesting information and the practical tips. And before we close, I would like to kind of summarize the capabilities of this service. Again, this is a OCR service which you can via RESTful API connect to your application. The service is highly available. It is running 24 hours, 7 days a week. We are using the Microsoft Azure data centers or processing locations in the European Union and in the USA. We support more than 200 OCR languages, the technology as well for hand recognition, hand-printed recognition, optical mark recognition, barcodes, and the three different prepared scenarios, basically business cards, machine readable zones. I got some questions about machine readable zones recognition and receipt recognition. And there were questions about if receipt and invoice is the same. In our eyes, not. This technology is recognizing really receipts which you get in the shop, but we have as well specific recognition technologies for invoices. Please visit our webpage, abby.com, and look for flexi capture for invoices. We have a very advanced solutions for recognition of invoices, which can be as well integrated or used as standalone or in the cloud. The service is a secured service. I got several questions as well about the data protection. It is encrypted service. We have a SOC 2 certification, and the service is GDPR compliant. It's very restricted in terms of access to the data. Basically, nobody has access to the data or to the documents. We process the documents and then we delete them. We are not a company that works with data or does business model on data collection. And as well, basically storing data costs money, which we have to pay to Microsoft. So there are routines for automated deletion after the documents are processed, or you can set a call yourself and delete the documents directly after the processing. You can go on the service page. I will show the address immediately, where you can actually see all the descriptions, history, availability history, how we handle the data, how we handle the documents. There is almost, I don't think we ever had it, but I think there is in the development agreement only one situation where somebody could physically access the document, and that would basically mean if processing of the documents is crashing the service. Okay, and in that case, of course, somebody would have to attend it and see what's wrong with that document. But otherwise, all the processing is running automatically without any physical interaction with any person. And the service is quickly and easily implemented. I hope Vigilia could convince you via the RESTful API methods. We provide the .NET client library, but as well a Java client library and several code samples. And therefore, with this, we would close our presentation. You have seen the list of links where Vigilia was showing her resources. We as well pasted those lists or those links into the email you will receive after we finish this webinar, probably within a couple of minutes or maximal hours. The actual address of the service, where the address is or where the service is sitting, is ocrsdk.com. If you type this into your browser, you will basically land at the service. You can for free sign in. You can test the service. There are pages which are available, or you can process up to 500 your own pages for free just to test the pages, or simply buy small packages for testing. The development, the testing or usage of the service is basically the development, the connection is for free. Once you would start processing, obviously you would pay for a process page. This is how the pricing works. But the development, the testing is for free. If you would need more, if you really get excited and want to test more, and you can write me or Vigilia account here on the bottom. You can see our addresses. We can provide you as well a promo code for additional testing page. And with this, yeah, I would encourage you to go and convince yourself. If you have more questions, please write us. You can, again, reach us under our personal email addresses, or you can use the contact form on the abby.com page. There is a contact form which you can fill in, and we will get back to you. If you have any questions we have not managed to answer, we were trying. I see many questions. We will send you email afterwards individually. So with this, we will now close. I wish you happy holiday and happy new year soon, and I hope to see you next year in our next webinars. Have a good day. Bye bye.